Alrighty, we're live for the first F1 preview of 2026. I'm joined with Matt again. Matt, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Yourself?
Yeah, real good. Good to see lots of change happening in F1, mate. We've got plenty to talk about today and plenty to look forward to over the next couple of months before they actually get on the racetrack in a race format.
Yeah,
Where do we begin, mate? There's plenty to talk about.
there's so much to talk about going into this season. Obviously, 2026 is the year where everything changes: cars, engines, new teams, one new driver, some coming back as well, some much loved as well. They've certainly got big fan bases. So 2026 could be a hugely unpredictable year this year for once.
Absolutely, and I guess that's what makes it so exciting. Like you look back at when we've had changes before, where they've gone to the hybrids, and there's been massive change, hasn't there, amongst the order, and that's what makes it exciting. That's what F1 is looking forward to the most, probably out of this. Is last year we had a domination of McLaren, and previous to that, it's been the Red Bulls, but do you see anyone dominating with the change, or do you think it's just going to be open slather?
Hard to tell at this stage. I mean, the only concern with a rule change is that there's always usually someone that comes out on top. So, like the last massive rule change we had over to the hybrid engines, Mercedes were donkeys out in front of everybody, so much so that they were told to turn their engines down so everyone can try and catch up. So, there's always that fear, and there's already the political drama going on in the background already before the cars have even turned a wheel that supposedly Mercedes and Red Bull powertrains, Ford, have got some kind of trick with the compression point of the engine. So they may be about 15 to 20 horsepower way ahead of everybody else, and the other manufacturers are already kicking up already. So there's already a little bit of drama which could force an appeal and a change to the rules before mid-season, because they've got a new rule this year where they can look and try and stop dominance every 12 weeks.
Okay. So if someone is way out in front, like you said, with the McLaren, they can just force a bit of a turn down of their engine.
That's supposedly the point of it, because what everyone's worried about is if someone came out, like they're saying that, they were saying all year last year that Mercedes are way and above everybody. The concern was that we could end up with the Mercedes cars lapping everybody. Um, so they had it written into the rules that they can look at it every 12 weeks, assess where everybody else is, and then allow the manufacturers that are over a certain percentage, which is yet to be defined, that are too far behind, they'll be able to develop behind the scenes and have a little bit of an allowance in the cost cap so that they can try and catch up a bit. So the mechanisms are there to try and close the field, but the first few races, God knows, it's going to be up in the air. And I think we're going to have a little bit of drama, especially if there's rain with the new active aero.
Yeah, the active aero seems a little bit different, and goodbye DRS. What's your thoughts on that?
I have my concerns. I mean, I know they've bought in the active aero because it was kind of a workaround that they had to do because they're worried about the engines running out of puff down the straights. I think the first time we're going to see that fear is going to be later in the season up to Monza. There's talk that the cars are going to have to be lifting off down the straight to try and restore energy back into the batteries, which is why they came up with the active aero. But they've yet to decide on whether they're going to be able to use that in wet races. So are we going to get cars that are massively slower in the wet races? There's fears that they're going to be marginally quicker than a Formula 2 car, but some people say they might be within a couple of seconds of last year's cars. We don't quite know yet, but I think active aero is going to be one of those things that's going to add an element to the more intelligent drivers. So people like Lance Stroll probably aren't going to have much of a hope.
Come on, mate. It's 2026 and we're already bashing on Lance Stroll. Come on.
It's got to be done, isn't it? He's still on the grid while
He
he's
hasn't
there.
done anything wrong yet.
Yeah, that's
He
the
hasn't done
optimal word,
anything
isn't
wrong yet. Oh, mate, bit of testing coming up. We're just talking off air before, and you also mentioned Silverstone's got a couple of shakedowns as well. So on the screen, you've got the test one in Barcelona, end of January, Bahrain in Feb, and Bahrain again the week later. And what's the news about the Silverstone shakedown?
Well, there's obviously some shakedowns of some cars going to be happening at Silverstone because Silverstone had put all over social media about do not turn up with cameras, do not turn up with video recording equipment. It's forbidden. So clearly F1 teams are going to be there shaking down before pre-season. 99% of the grid anyway are based in and around Silverstone. So it's logical that they're all going to be there shaking down. And you can bet your bottom dollar whether it's going to be a track marshal or someone that manages to get over the gate. There'll be spy images. When Audi hit the track last week around Barcelona, you had all these sort of grainy images, and that was kind of mixed in with some dodgy AI versions, which were proved to be fake. And then Cadillac this week had their shakedown as well around Silverstone. There's been a few rumblings coming out of that today, that Cadillac's Ferrari engine wasn't performing very well. So obviously Cadillac have kept it very quiet. We'll have to see how that shakes out, but already there's rumbles about the Ferrari engine might be struggling already.
Okay. I did see a little bit about that with the Ferrari engines. Thoughts on Cadillac going forward? I know two drivers are going to be very happy to be back in the driver's seat. I've seen a fair bit of Valtteri Bottas in his social medias over the sort of summer break. Well, it's our summer break, not your summer break, but he's been loving life over here. But
he has.
I can tell he's looking forward to getting back in the seat.
Yeah, I think both Sergio and Valtteri are looking forward to getting back on the grid this year. Obviously, Sergio brings a hell of a lot of Mexican supporters to Cadillac, and it's an important market for General Motors as well. Obviously, personally, I think out of the pair of them, I think probably Bottas is going to slightly edge it. But it's going to be a tough year for Cadillac. Any expectations that are going to be any better than the worst team on the grid? We've got to be realistic. They're going to be tail end Charlies. They've just got to be respectable this year and build their foundations. I mean, they haven't even got a proper factory yet. They're still building it in America. They're not really a true works team until 2029 or 2030. Until then, they're a Ferrari customer team. So at the moment, keep the expectations low. We'll see what obviously news comes out over the next few weeks about their commercial partners and everything else that they start building up for the future. But I think respectability has got to be the key word for them in 2026, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they should have any expectation on anything performance-wise other than getting a car to a competitive level. Having the two experienced drivers whilst testing all their engine and testing their new car obviously is going to be a massive help for them. And we, in the next 2 years, I think they signed a 2-year deal, didn't they?
They did, yeah. They've both got 2 years.
Yeah.
Probably, I think Perez has said that he wants to come back to prove Red Bull wrong. I don't know whether Perez's hunger is quite there. I know Bottas is definitely hungry for it because he was kicked off the grid for, he wanted really to stay. Whereas Perez's head had completely gone at Red Bull after being pummeled by Verstappen. So he may feel he's got a point to prove, but I think Bottas is going to come out on top in that little battle this year.
Yeah, I think so too. Going to be good to watch. I've watched it, as I said, a fair bit of Valtteri Bottas, his different things that he's been posting, and I think he's just started a podcast as well, just on the day-to-day life of what he's been doing, and he's basically been cycling and drinking wine is all he's been doing, and he's got I think he's got a gin or a vodka or something that he's put out over here as well. So
I see
that's about him.
I see on the old Facebook that he's preparing for pre-season with all the shots lined up. Best kind of pre-season prep. He's probably going to need a few of them over the year.
I would say so. The Red Bull launch, mate, it was pretty out there. Bit different, though. I know F1 has a pretty it's pretty much your time zone is the sort of base around most of the other teams' launches and stuff like that. But they had an American time slot, American prime time slot for their launch. I guess trying to pick up that American audience with the Ford engines. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was a different launch, that's for sure.
Yep, certainly. Obviously, F1 being American owned and hugely American emphasized, and now Ford on board as well. The launch as well, I believe, was also at Ford's new Detroit factory as well. So it was all about the glitz and glamour. And as Red Bull do, they always do everything with a bang. And they brought in one of their Red Bull Air Race planes to take the covers off the livery for this year, which I have to say does look very, very sexy this year. Love it.
Glossy this year. I can't remember it being that glossy before. Is it?
That's back to the OG days, how they used to be before they went matte, which apparently was a Christian Horner thing. Apparently, Max Verstappen's been saying for the last 2-3 years he wanted to go back to gloss, but because of the whole weight thing, they wouldn't allow it. But yeah, I think it looks amazing. I think around Las Vegas and Singapore, that is going to be a very, very good color scheme.
Yeah, well, a couple of photographers I follow are pretty excited about the gloss as well. They reckon it's going to photograph a lot better than what the matte did. So interesting to see. Now, obviously, some big changes for Red Bull with the powertrain coming from Ford.
Mm-hmm.
And you were saying earlier that they might have a little bit of an advantage there. Hopefully, we don't see Max Verstappen with any more advantage than what he needs. Hopefully, it's a nice even playing field. But any other news around those powertrains that you can think of, Matt?
Well, Red Bull kind of, in one hand, there's the rumours around there that they're the one team along with Mercedes that have got this loophole that they've found. But then Ford themselves have said, don't expect much from us from the first few months because we might be a bit crap. So it's kind of 50-50. I think Red Bull have taken on a huge challenge on building their engines. I mean, it may have the Ford sticker built on it, but at the end of the day, it's made in Milton Keynes. Ford are coming in to offer their services and financial backing on the electrical side, but the main actual powertrain is made in Milton Keynes, and they've never done this before. Although they've been cherry picking the best engineers they can get their hands on from the likes of Renault when they shut down their engine program last year, and from Mercedes and from Ferrari. And they also got some from Honda when Honda originally were going to be pulling out until they stayed. So they've got as many people as they possibly can, but you're trying to put all of that into a collection and build something from scratch. So I think it's going to take a couple of years, realistically. Look how long it took for Honda to get it right. They took 3-4 years of being miserable until eventually they got things right and started winning.
Yeah. If Red Bull were to be down the order, do you think that'll be the end for Max Verstappen and he'll retire?
Absolutely. Well, not retire. I think it'll be the end for Max Verstappen F1 at Red Bull. I think personally I think they said that it's a sliding scale last year, and there was all sorts of speculation on where it was. But I think realistically, he has to be top 4 in the Drivers' Championship this year by summer break. Otherwise, he can be released by his contract, and it's inevitable at some point. I think he'll go over to Aston Martin and replace Fernando Alonso.
Okay. There you go. Heard it here first. What about the V-Carb? I think they look good. I think I prefer those over the Red Bull car this year. I think they look great.
It was a lovely colour scheme last year, so it's nice to see that they've retained it. They've also kept a lot of their backers as well, which is good, especially in the commercial world that's out there at the moment. It's kind of a bit touchy with the world economy, so it's good that they've kept a lot of the sponsors on that car. But yeah, I mean, they're going to obviously always be Red Bull's B team. Can't really expect much from that. Liam Lawson's got a lot to prove this year as the team leader as well, so we'll see how he goes.
And who's the other driver with Lawson this year?
That's a young British driver with a Swedish dad and an Indian mother, I believe, called Arvid Lindblad, who will be the only rookie and the youngest driver on the grid this year. Pretty decent driver. So we'll see how he goes.
And he was F2 last year.
Yeah, he was in F2 last year. I think realistically, they were probably going to keep him in F2 this year as well. But with everything that all happened in the politics of Red Bull and then promoting Isaac Hadjar, there was a seat free and he was next in line. So we know how Red Bull likes to chew him up and spit him out. And Arvid's the next one on the production line.
Hopefully for him, mate, he gets a fair run. We looked at last year's debacle with Red Bull, and even people like Jack Doohan not really getting a fair run. I think, what did he have, 2 or 3 races, and he was gone.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the highest money winner, the highest money spender there, got the seat. But anyway,
Yeah.
not to be.
Never know though. Doing maybe around the F1 grid this year though, because he's looking like it's not been announced yet. He got announced that he's been released from Alpine this week. Big speculation that he's going to be announced as Haas's reserve driver. So he'll be in and around with a shot potentially at making a comeback, long shot, but making a comeback in 2027.
Yeah. Well, for the Aussie in me, I hope he gets a run because it'd be great to see him actually get out and about on the F1 track. Mate, there's a few launches coming up. We just seen the Red Bull one in Detroit now, the Haas one. January 19, Audi the 20th, Honda the 20th, 22nd, Mercedes, Ferrari on the 23rd, Alpine the 23rd, Williams, Cadillac. Oh, the Cadillac is going with a Super Bowl advert. How good's that?
So yeah, apparently that's cost them $5 million, that slot.
Yep, that's a smart move. I think $5 million is actually cheap for a Super Bowl. They're usually anywhere between 7 and 8, so that's awesome.
I think it's only going to be like
McLaren and Aston Martin. So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to see plenty of different reveals of all the different liveries, and look forward to that. Anyone you're excited for amongst this list?
I personally, I want to see a decent Ferrari get revealed this year. I'd like to see Lewis get some decent machinery under him this year. I don't like the way that Lewis's career seems to be going out with a whimper at the moment, and last year was exceptionally tough for the Brit, and he deserves at least to go out winning before he decides to call it quits. So I'm looking forward and positively, hopefully, for a nice, good Ferrari car to be launched. There's already some murmurings about that they might have some trickery around their front suspension, but the people that understand all the technicalities of that would be better at that than me. So I'm looking forward to the Ferrari, but I think the big one, I always like the new teams. I'm looking forward to seeing what the Audi looks like when that gets launched. Their kind of hybrid livery they'd done a few weeks ago was awful, so hopefully it's nothing like that. And it'd be interesting to see what Cadillac launch, because I just like new teams. So all in for more cars on the grid, more entertainment, fill that grid up. There's still 2 more spaces that they could potentially fill yet as well. So hopefully they'll get another team or 2 in as well over the next few years.
That's going to be interesting too, as you talk about new teams, how the qualification process will run through Q3, Q2, Q1. Like we've had that pass where the first 5 drop, then the next 5 drop. This year, I think it goes 6, and then the rest. That'll be interesting. Yeah. Interesting to watch as well. Being a little bit different, a couple more cars on the track, so going to make it
just adds a little bit more jeopardy.
Yeah, I guess it puts a bit more perspective on that Q1, whereas before lots of those top drivers just cruise through. They might not be able to this, well, especially with new powertrains. They're not going to be able to just cruise through. It's going to be all go, go, go.
It is going to be, and it's all going to be a little bit of a suck it and see as well with these new rules, because no one really knows at the moment how these new engines are going to go. So where's going to be the best place to deploy your batteries, where's going to be because you're unrestricted on where you use your active aero. So it's not like with the DRS where you've got activation points. So if you want to dump it down one straight and someone else doesn't, then you can just slipstream them. There'll be a whole new way of managing your qualifying and your race and your strategy. So it's going to be completely different this year. In the first few races, there's going to be probably some big whoopsies by some notable names, just because people would be trialing different things. So I like it. You throw something different out there, as long as it doesn't end up having some kind of backlash on it. There's been a bit of negativity in the press and through a lot of F1 channels at the moment saying about that they think it's going to be rubbish and they think a lot of it's not going to work. You've got to give these things a few races to settle down before you can sort of start slamming it and saying whether it works or not.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. Another one to think about, mate, this year, obviously Lando Norris come out on top as the drivers' champion. Do you think, do you think there'll be any new rules around? I know we had last year pretty much open slather with McLaren. Do you think they will change the way they drive this year in regards to who's going to be the leader, or do you think it'll be open slather again? Do you think? Personally, I think Lando should get the chance to be the number one driver to back himself up for the championship, but you've got an equally as good driver right beside him, so makes it tough.
Personally, as a Brit, I would love to see Lando win, but I've had conversations, obviously, with friends and things like that as well. I'd openly say I think Lando is a one-hit wonder. Great lad, fantastic lad. He made the most of it in 2025. Don't debate that he deserves his championship this year or last year, and he deserves number one on the car. Probably Max maybe even deserved the championship last year because he drove the balls off that Red Bull, even though it wasn't the best car, and he had his hand tied behind his back at certain points mid-season. I don't know. I think Lando is a one-hit wonder. I think Oscar, I said it all the way through last year, I think Oscar is a more naturally talented driver. I just think he had a bit of bad luck and he had that wobble around Baku and sort of the last third of the season where he bollocksed it up a little bit. But I don't know. I think Oscar will come out all guns blazing. But I have the caveat is I think this year could be Oscar Piastri's last year at McLaren.
Whew. Yeah, I agree on that. First of all, I am going to clip that for sure. You calling Lando hit wonder, but yeah, I agree that it'll be his last year. Mark Webber come out at the end of last year, and he wasn't happy, obviously, the way things panned out and different things. Swapping drivers around first to second and things like that during the year, and he sort of made it clear he wasn't happy. But I hope he stays at McLaren, but I think you're right. I think he's probably gone, and who knows where he'll end up. Hopefully it's not at Red Bull. But
I think I personally think it's going to either be Red Bull or Ferrari, because I think the three big players are good. I think it's half the grid are out of contract come the end of 2026. And everyone really wanted status quo this year because they wanted to see where everyone sort of slotted in team-wise for this year's new rules reset. But I think the three big players this year's driver market is going to be Max, if he goes from Red Bull, and where does he go? Whether he's going to go to Mercedes after constantly flirting or whether he goes to Aston Martin. I think Charles Leclerc will want out of Ferrari, despite the fact he's got a contract until 28 or 29. I think he's going to want out of Ferrari if they're not winning. And then I think Oscar will take what's left. I think he'll either jump to Ferrari or he'll jump to Red Bull to replace one or the other. That's my prediction for what it's worth.
There you go. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting season, mate. Plenty of drama to come up with the new rules, the way the aero system works, no DRS, new powertrains, more battery in the hybrid engine. So it's it's going to be an epic season now. Not one to go off early and give any predictions on who you're going to see win, but I really hope that Oscar Piastri gets it done this year for the Aussies and gets out there at the top of the table. But I mean, with all these changes, it's going to be anyone's race, really. Will we see a rookie come up or one of last year's rookies come through and dominate? Like you've got Hadjo in one of the top seats, and Mercedes have got, two youngish drivers up there. So
I think this year is definitely going to be the year where, certainly the beginning of the season, there's going to be some shocks. I definitely think there's going to be a few surprises out there. Hadjar did say at the Red Bull launch, he did say he's targeting at least one win in 2026. And I think he's got that little bit of an edge to him. He's got that arrogance to him that I think he won't take crap off of Max. I don't think he's going to lose his head. So he could be one to watch. At the moment, we don't really know anything until the cars really get to Melbourne. I think the only thing we can probably say with certainty is it will be a Mercedes car. Mercedes engine that's going to be up the top, whether that's Mercedes themselves or whether that's McLaren, maybe even, shocker, maybe even look at Alpine, Mercedes customer. They've had a whole year preparing because they put 2025 in the bin, all for this season. There's rumours out there that Alpine have actually got the only car. It's a little dude. Alpine are the only car that supposedly hit the weight limit. Here he is.
Say hello.
Can I see Milo Coco?
We're live, dude. Milo, Coco, and Ben. It's night time over there. It's night time.
They're in bed, mate. They're in bed. They've been out for
We
a
might
long
be able
walk.
to see them later. You say hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
All right, buddy.
Bless him.
At least he's got some underpants on.
Worrying thing is if I didn't have any underpants on.
Well, I'm not standing up. Mate, thanks for catching up today. Plenty of F1 news still to come. Lots of launches. We are gonna go try to go live or record something each week, whether that be a little shorter podcast or whether it be clips around the F1. But the F1 is going to be hitting our screens anytime soon with all the different updates and news, mate. So I appreciate you coming on. Your time, it's close to 10 o'clock over there at night, 9 o'clock over here in the morning. So it's not a bad time zone for both of us. Hopefully we'll put this out there a bit earlier and give some people some notice so they can jump online. We had a few jump on late there, so I appreciate those that jumped on from Facebook and YouTube. But other than that, mate, anything else you want to talk about before we go with F1 news?
No, I think we've covered it all, really. It's just we'll see what happens now in pre-season next week. It all starts kicking off. I'm sure news will start filtering through, even though the press aren't allowed to be there. And there'll be, I'm sure, stories of people having drama and breaking down. There is rumours of that at least one team won't be at the first test. They're not saying who, but there's talk that one team won't be there. They're focusing on Bahrain instead. So obviously not Cadillac, so that's a good thing. And we'll see how it all shakes out. And the big news to look out for this week, maybe Peter Bonington could be Lewis Hamilton's race engineer at Ferrari. That could be a little bit of a news snippet that's about to be announced because Riccardo Adami has been pushed out. Hamilton's got his way. He's got his own race engineer for next year that he wants. So could it be Bono being reunited? But other than that, I'll leave it there.
Awesome. Well, that'll be some interesting news, and hopefully that pops out early in the week so we can check it out. All right, mate. Appreciate the time. Take it easy, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, mate. See you soon.